last week Zoltan was there, but didn't have any demo. Probably. Dean made a demo. What was it? What was the demo from Dean?
We did talk a lot about configuring allowed features per tenant.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Features per tenant. Think this way. Then we talked about some features and goals for Orchard 2. Jasmine added the last one after the meeting, reminding me that we wanted to split the framework from the CMS into different repositories.
Sorry, Sebastian, you are not screen sharing if you want to.
I wanted to, and that makes much more sense because I was pointing at the topics. So these were the topics from last week. And I was saying that we had a list of wishes and goals for Orchard 2.0 and 1x. Like 1x meaning, okay, new features, nothing that is breaking anything, 2.0 something that might be breaking. And saying that Jasmine reminded me about splitting the framework from the CMS. Everything else has been added to the roadmap or merged with whatever was already there. All these things, Elasticsearch, delete tenants, split framework, all these things. Okay, and if we have PRs already for these, I pointed them to the correct issue. But nothing is just based on whoever wants to work on something. So totally open. So that has been updated. Who joined us? Just Soteris. How are you doing, Soteris? You're alive. That's good to know. Soteris is from Greece, which is burning. Well, at least last time I checked, it was still burning. So. Everyone from Greece is joining at the same time. That's crazy. Okay, there is the delay, latency, network latency from Seattle to Greece. So updated the wiki with that today. Demos, and I'm sure we have some demos.
I will have a demo about JSON editor.
So Zoltan didn't speak, but David spoke.
Yeah, I'm here just for David.
He doesn't show up then. And David is from Hungary because he's got an accent on the A, like Zoltan.
Yes.
Right? I'm so good.
Correct.
So that will be demo. Anyone else? Dean's not here, so usually Dean does a demo. Demos, topics. I have nothing today, but if you have anything, just let me know. Right now, we'll see later. First, status on Orchard 1. Nothing has been merged. There were some new PRs last week. We'll see how it goes. But nothing has been merged last week. Orchard Core, like everyone went on vacation. that's all, which is good and bad. So 17 fix build on .NET. Okay, that's me. So that is just this here, somewhere in the shape. You know, we have some dynamic bindings for shape methods that will try to map different kinds of different names of properties to different objects. Okay, it's kind of DI but for shapes, and we check the types of the return value. And at some point, we are checking if it was an enumerable of dynamic, which usually is used to represent a list of shapes. Okay, it's an enumerable of dynamic. And what we do in the ASP.NET team is that actually the .NET team, the .NET runtime team, is actually using Orchard on the 6.0 branch. Well, it's on main now, but it's actually using .NET Orchard and building it using .NET 6, always using the latest, to build what's called PGO, which is a performance-guided, profile-guided optimization, which is a way to analyze what the apps do and create some profiles that will be used by the JIT engine to JIT things better. So there is a tool that looks at whatever an application is doing and will understand how to make other applications better in the way that they should be JIT. So they do that continuously, and one day it stopped working because of a build issue. The build issue is due to a change in Roslyn that is actually reporting that this thing here that should not be used. It's kind of weird because technically it's not a compilation error, it works, but with the latest version of Roslyn, it's starting to report as an error. And the error is just to say that you are using this type, but you should not, because when you compile it, it will actually be compiled as an enumerable object. So the change here was just to remove this line, because apparently these two equality tests are actually identical. If you copy paste that and you compile it and look at the IL will actually check for enumerable object. Okay, so that's what's happening. And now Roslyn being able to report this kind of error, I will just show warning, but it's an error. It was changed to that, and now it's compiling again against .NET 6. Note that we don't have a build step targeting .NET 6, which means we kind of rely on their CI to tell us if orchardcore builds on .NET 6. But at some point when it's public, well, when it's actually stable, release on NuGet, we'll also target .NET 6. Because that's one of the goals, to target .NET 6 and not 3.1 anymore, because .NET 6 will be LTS. And it's faster. Some people are already using orchardcore on .NET 6 because it's faster. So that was the fix here. Allow to edit TimeField seconds and milliseconds. Interesting. I think that's wrong. I think that's wrong. We should revert that, and I will explain you why. Well, someone might disagree and make me change my mind, but I think that's wrong. So, oh, wait, not that wrong, actually. I thought it was the field itself that was changed. It's just the settings. Okay, it's less wrong. It's less wrong. Yeah, so what I don't want to change is what we store in the time field. If we say the time field stores seconds or milliseconds, whatever unit it is, it should store that forever. And the fact that we decide to type seconds, milliseconds, or quarter, minutes, or whatever, or hours, should be just some UI that will convert whatever we store into whatever the user typed and is displayed. So here they are just changing the step, which is so it's actually the unit. It's actually the unit, and in this case, but it looks like something. Okay, so that's actually something well known in the input type. Yep, that's something common to this editor, so that's good. Defaults to 1 for number and range. Solution for time, it's 1. Interesting. I'm a big fan of this change because this is the default editor. I assume we support custom settings for custom editors, and it should probably be in a custom editor because this is very specific to the HTML time field and not time in general. Okay, I will comment on the PR to suggest to use a custom editor. MailKit and MimeKit updates, 2 in the same PR. Small versions. This is a pull request we merged geometry-age, the idea being that by default, by enabling the feeds module, the lists will generate a feed URL, and for this recipe it doesn't make sense. For the blog it makes sense, but not for the other recipes. So the decision has been made to not enable this feature on the admin and the agency recipes. Sorry, on the blank and the agency recipes. Okay, and Antoine updated Monaco to the latest version. Okay, good questions. All is good. Everyone agrees with my comments on the time field. So demo time with David, if you are ready. David is ready.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sharing. Can you see it?
Yes, we can see your screen.
Cool. So the demo is about a JSON editor, and just as a background, let me mention this website, which is this is a JavaScript library, and this is basically a web demo for it, and it's my favorite JSON editor, which is why I have implemented it in orchardcore. And to also, if you have if you use this demo solution that we have on the Lombiq repo, then there is a sample for it, which I will show now. So how it works is that you have the page, and if you go to edit, then you get an editor where you can use a tree editor as you would want to add whatever you need, or just to go with conventional JSON, but it's text highlighted, and it can even fix simpler JSON issues with the code. And also it has a feature for templates. So if you click append, you can add these templates, which is like prepared JSON code. And if we go over to, so all the configurations are like strongly typed maps to C# objects, and one of these is this template, which I can show an example. Yeah, so it's not very complicated, but the point is that you can pass an object and then it gets configured. And then in the end, you can use it with a simple tag helper for that includes a JSON editor. You can set a string as a content and then just pass in names, so you can basically seamlessly integrate it instead of any string parameter in your view model. And that goes here, and on the view end, so when it comes to this JSON field, which is just a regular content field, and on the view end, it just exposes the field content for you. And then here, for example, is a sample that these contents are loaded in runtime, but realistically, you would use it for something a bit more complicated. Like there's another project where we use it to supply data to Survey.js, or like any other client-side JavaScript module could make good use of it. As for this content field, this JSON field, it goes very meta, because you actually can set its own configuration inside the JSON editor. If you want to like change what kind of modes it has, and you can like set it for each field, like with custom templates. Pardon?
Can you configure the configuration editing JSON editor with a JSON editor?
No, this editor uses the default settings.
Oh, that's sad.
Yes, there are no turtles all the way down. Anyway, so here in this sample, you can see that when you display, we have just a little bit of liquid to access the content through JavaScript, and using this JSON field global variable, right? And then this is the name of the field. And So you can use it, for example, to transfer the data into whatever JavaScript object you will use that will consume it. And is there anything else? Yeah, as I said, you can use the stack helper on its own. If you want, you can pass in any kind of object that can be consumed by JSON.NET, but then you have to make sure to handle it correctly because it will still return a string. So that could be tricky, but normally you can use this field or introduce the editor into your other editors wherever you want to use it. And I think that's pretty much it.
So questions? Are you okay with questions and comments?
Sure.
You can say no.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
So that's a good idea. And so what's the name of the field?
What's the name of what?
The name of the field.
Right.
JSON field.
It's just the JSON field.
JSON field. Okay, that's good. So good point. So I like it. It's a JSON field. The same way we have an HTML field. Okay. And so what properties do you have on this JSON field in the class?
Well, you have the value as a string.
Now show me the field first.
Here is a field. Yeah.
Okay.
So it
string
just has a value.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, you said it. So you're right. Okay, string value.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, that's good. So then I think maybe the default editor for the JSON field should just be the text area or a very simple JSON editor. And this specific editor that you have should be a different field editor, like whatever the name is, like full JSON editor, so that when you define the field, you can select what editor you want to use. And the properties because right now I'm sure that all these properties you have are in the default JSON field settings.
Yes.
But they just make sense for this editor. So that's why having a separate field editor would make it better to be able to later remove it or just have another JSON editor with other settings. Because I'm sure these settings, they are not common to all JSON. There must be some specific to this editor. And it doesn't mean that you can't use this editor as a default editor either. I think for the HTML editor, we have the one called default, which is actually using a nice HTML editor, and the one called, it's not an EMC, what's the name, Antoine, of the HTML editor we use by default? Trumbowig. And we have an editor called Trumbowig, which is using also Trumbowig. But the idea is that the user decides to use a default by saying default or not saying anything, and we give him Trumbowig, or decides to use Trumbowig, and if tomorrow we decide to change the default, it will still use Trumbowig. So that would be nice to just extract what you made for this editor into different, what we call field editor. Like we have part editors, we have field editors. So you can select what editor you want to use for this field. But what I like is the fact that the JSON field just has a JSON value. Why call it value? I think we decided by convention to not name things value because it was too generic and it was value for everything. So if you look at the HTML field, the text field, I assume we try not to use value if we can. Like JSON field could have a property named JSON.
Okay, that makes sense.
Just check then after with HTML and Markdown, but I think they are called by what they contain, like .html, .markdown. Because for the Markdown field, you can also have .html actually. But yeah, so that's also another comment on that. And something else you might want to do the same way we do it for the Markdown. For the Markdown, for instance, we store the Markdown itself, but there is a way to get the JSON, the HTML out of it, either as a property or an extension method and liquid filters and so on. What would be interesting would be to provide the helpers to get the JSON document out of the string. So what you did here, in your samples, for instance, you use it in JavaScript because it's easy for you to just render the string, and in JavaScript it will be like an object. Fine. But what if I am if I want to do something else, like extract some properties out of it, not in JavaScript but on the server side? You will need some helpers in Liquid to convert it to an object, and then you can access the properties directly. That would be super nice. Same thing in Razor. So some helpers to convert the string into a JSON object, manipulable object. And
but I think if you can access the field in Liquid, the fields allow you, then you can already convert it into JSON.
I don't remember. Can you actually? Maybe we have a filter for that. That would be good, yeah.
I saw it in the
and there are like 90% chances I did that or I asked him to do it, but yeah, probably, but I don't remember. Okay, JSON parse.
Yes.
Right. So there is a JSON parse. Okay, that's nice. So we can do it in Liquid, and then you can say in Razor that just use C#, whatever thing you want. Okay, so that's good. Great. Yeah, but that's a good idea. I like it. And on the display, I didn't really get. So what do you display by default on the display? You could say nothing, but I'm not sure it's the case.
Yeah. So this is the display. It just exposes the script.
What is that thing? If JSON field in window. What is that?
What?
Oh, that's the TP. That's the editor itself. No. No.
What do you mean?
What does the script do?
The script creates this this global object if it doesn't exist, and then assigns the content.
Wrong. What if you have two fields on the same content icon?
If they have different, they must have different name.
Okay.
So this is an object, and then they will have different property.
But why
that object?
Why?
What do you suggest instead?
So you're assigning the JSON into a window property. Why? What?
So that other parts can access it, or like this widget can access it in this example.
Yeah, I would just say let them do that if they want. If they want to access it this way in JavaScript, deserialize it in JavaScript. That's good to do it by default. I would just say either output the JSON itself or don't output anything. That's good to. It's super opinionated to decide. Oh, I will just make it available in JavaScript. First, that's a weird opinion, and second, to do it directly in the field called JSON field by the field name. That's weird. That's too. Yeah, that could same thing. That should be, if you want, a custom display.
Mm-hmm.
And user can decide to use this opinionated way of exposing the JSON field. But by default, it should just expose nothing and let them do whatever they want with the .json of the object. My opinion. But it's in a Lombiq thing. It's whatever you want. If it had to be in orchardcore, the main repo, it would not be that opinionated.
Right. Well, I think these are interesting suggestions, and I think I will definitely look into them. Unless I just put something together so that it can be accessed, because in our own project currently we just use the tag helper in itself.
I mean, you have a need, so you answer to your need first. I totally get it. That makes sense. Yeah. So if you want to, you will check with Zoltan and talk with Lombiq. If you want to submit a JSON field to the main repository, I think that would be a nice addition. We don't have that. With or without the custom nice editor. At least the JSON field.csIc here is very nice. Just one line, but everything that is around to make it a field, it's super useful to have a JSON field. That's weird that we don't even have that already. Yeah.
I'm not sure it's like something that has a wide use case, so it's not that weird.
Well, people could use a text field for sure and then do the same thing, but the fact that it is a JSON field will help to create more designers like editors and display. You could do it on the text field, but that might be a way to extend the usage of JSON in content types, I think. Because same thing, we have HTML, right? It could be a text field with custom editors, but no, it's a case so common that you want it to be part of a first-class citizen in the system, like, yeah, HTML field, not just text. Same thing for JSON. Good, thank you. Anyone else with comments and questions? Sharing my screen again. Just to see. Antoine, I will define display types. The default one will be raw. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. Yeah, so yeah, the same way we do for HTML, I'm sure, and for other things like this. What you can add as a JSON field, also validation. When people edit it, you can validate it and say, no, this is not valid. So this is something that is better than the text field, at least. Validating in the driver that it's actual JSON, valid JSON. And even the default field could then have, or the default settings could then have how to validate the JSON. Should the field accept comments? Should the field, I don't know, accept dates in this format, or I don't know, stuff like that? Or should there be a size limit or a depth limit?
Yeah, for example, a display type where you specify some liquid and you are able to get some properties and.
Yeah, that could be a display type, or you could just also create your own liquid rendering template as a field shape, because this notion of liquid for a field could be applied to every field.
Mm-hmm.
This could actually be a generic
some kind of data source. So.
Yeah. You can think of it this way also. Yeah, if you say, okay, it's a data source, so you will probably want to display something out of it or to do something out of it, of the data. Okay. cool. Or JavaScript stuff because, I don't know, JavaScript validation or, yeah. Yeah, we could use a generic JSON field in the main repo. Thank you. So what's the name of the website you are using it in? I want to know.
Which website?
Don't say it. If you can't say it, don't say it.
Yeah, I'm not sure we could tell. It is public knowledge though that that it runs on Orchard. It's also up on Orchard.
What? What?
So it's public knowledge though that it runs Orchard, just not that this module is included, because the site is also on Show Orchard.
Okay, so what is the site then? So you can mention the site, right?
Well, I can mention a site that runs Orchard Core, but I'm not sure whether I can mention that it also runs this module.
Well, I will assume it's the Santa Monica website because you published it last week. It's on Orchard Core and you helped them somehow. So I will say that. I have no idea, but that's not just my
it's actually not that.
Oh,
I can say that.
Well, yeah, you can say, okay. You don't know, maybe they use it, but you don't know. If it's not open source, yes, you know, but if it's open source, maybe. Anyway. Awesome. Oh, yes, this is a new site, right? Because you published it on Show Orchard. Should we show that?
Yes, indeed.
Show Orchard. It used to be .org. Oh, no, it was not .org. Maybe it was .org at some point. The latest addition from Lombiq to the gallery. I think we mentioned that a few weeks ago. So this one, Santa Monica.gov. Super fast, super nice. So what do we have? Oh, yes. What I saw on this site that is interesting. But let's look at the site in general. Around the city, so topics here. Carousel with different topics. Then services and resources. Okay. And a set of news. Latest news here. Carousel. More news here. So news page. And the footer, if I click on news, we have the news. Okay, all of them is a pager. It works, it's nice, I like it. It's fast, okay. It's a pager with page numbers, okay. This is important because our default blog story, for instance, using a slim pager. And what I saw that is very interesting is the menu here. This is a set of taxonomies, I think, or a single taxonomy. So yeah, this is a single taxonomy. If you look at the URL at the bottom left, here, you will see its categories, okay? And you have the main categories here, so the first level taxonomy items. And if you go down, you see the second level. So I am in programs, which is the first level, then housing, safety, and so on. And each of these items, they have links. Okay, you see at the bottom left, all these links are different. So, and sometimes different pages outside of this website. So this menu is driven by one taxonomy. So let's click there. And here, this is the same pattern. What you have is the taxonomy items. These are like, well, I'm just trying to reverse engineer the website from what I see. If anyone has more information on that, that would be great. So these are like just like articles, I'd say, which are categorized, and these articles are displayed because I'm just asking for services, trash, and recycling. And I believe that if I go there, you see, oh well, this is just listing the subcategories. Okay. But yeah, what's interesting is that this first level here lists all the sub items, and is the same thing as here, you see. So if I go down a little, this image is too big. So services, so request and maintenance, trash and recycling, street cleaning, And you see this is this first level. So the menu is driven by taxonomy, and navigation at this level is also driven by the same taxonomy, but in a different view. So this taxonomy item has a title and a description. And when you click more, you will see all the, well, there's actually also an image, and you can see the links to outside. And the links are actually not just links, these are actually content items with a title, the URL, and also description. So they can show these nice boxes, cards. They might also have a color associated to them.
Yeah, you are actually spot on. The reverse engineering, that's what's happening.
Good. Summary header. And it looks like, I don't know if the pipe here means anything, if it's just design or it's one, yeah, maybe it's just design. I like it. It's super nice, super clean, super fast. This is just Google Translate. There's a banner. There was a search. Trash. The same UI bug as in our theme. Looks like no, it's actually something different than Orchard because it's indexing also external websites. Search results. SwiftType.com, that's why. Okay. Good. That's it. That's a new site. OrchardCore. Is it using, what's the type of this page? Is it a flow part? Is it a pure liquid thing, or is it a razor page?
It's definitely not liquid because it uses razor for the templates. Otherwise, this page, I'm not sure. It might be flow part. Part of some sections, but there are also widgets.
Okay, so yeah, widgets. It's not like a decoupled page that will do some query server side and render stuff. It's a editable page, so flow part, you say.
Yep.
Okay. Much customization of the template. Okay, that's nice. I like it. Are these people that we've known from since the first Orchard conference?
I guess so, because the old website was running on Orchard as well. Orchard one.
But I think the people who made the site, they were like an external company.
I don't know about that. The city has a development team, and
Okay.
to my knowledge, they are working on everything.
Maybe that's not what I think. Cool. Super nice. Thank you very much for the details. And are they happy with that solution?
They are. There's a lot more things coming. Again, I don't think I'm at liberty of sharing about that. But yeah, this is just the first. So this will be quite a complex website.
There's a blog. There's a blog, and the template is not as polished as the rest of the pages, because you can see here, okay, here are the categories, bottom by, so it's like, okay, let's render all the things we have. because this one could use the same card or something like that. Okay, good, perfect. Thank you very much. And thank you for adding them on the site. And maintaining and hosting the site, by the way. Good. Questions, comments, topics? All good then. So wrapping up, there won't be any triage on Thursday. I have an appointment at the exact same time as a triage. And next time is next Tuesday in September. Thanks, everyone. See you next week.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you, David, for the demo and the feature and everything.